Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are exploring a pretty cool connection between the Tower card in tarot and water alchemy.
Oh, yeah, that's a fascinating one.
Yeah. I think a lot of people when they think about the Tower card, they kind of get a little freaked out.
It's definitely one of the more intense images in the deck, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I think looking at it through this lens of water alchemy is going to give us a really interesting way to approach it.
Absolutely. Well, we can start to understand the tower as part of a cycle of release and renewal. It becomes much less intimidating and much more like a powerful opportunity for growth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think that's kind of our mission today, right? To sort of demystify this card a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And to kind of explore how we can actually work with its energy in a really positive and transformative way.
Awesome. Awesome. So to kind of set the stage here, the source material we're working with today mentions this really vivid imagery in the tower card. The lightning bolt striking the tower, the figures falling, all that. What's the symbolism behind all of that?
Well, each of those elements is kind of like a clue, right? And they're all pointing to this idea of disruption, of breaking down old structures to make way for something new.
Okay, so not literal destruction. Like it's not about our house falling down.
Right, exactly. It's more about the structures within us,
Mhm.
beliefs, habits, patterns, even relationships,
Mm.
anything that's no longer serving us that might need to kind of crumble in order for us to grow.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. So it's like those hauling figures, they're not actually victims, they're actually being liberated from this confining tower, right?
Exactly. You're being freed from those limitations, those things that were holding them back. And that lightning bolt, it's like this sudden flash of insight, this wake-up call that shatters those old illusions and forces us to see things in a new way.
Wow. That is so much more empowering than the way I used to view it. So how does water alchemy tie into all of this?
Well, think about the nature of water. I mean, it's constantly changing, adapting, flowing.
Hmm.
It can be incredibly powerful, it can carve canyons, but it can also be really gentle and nurturing.
Right, like it can erode rock over time, but it also like nourishes plants and all of life.
Exactly. And that's kind of the essence of water alchemy. It's about
Wow.
using water's transformative properties to cleanse, to purify, to reshape. And that energy really aligns with the energy of the tower card. This idea of disruption leading to renewal.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. In one of the sources, it talks about the tower's energy like a storm surge,
Yeah.
that sweeps away debris and clears the way for a stronger foundation.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
It really is. It really kind of captures that sense of, something really powerful coming in and kind of shaking things up so that something new can emerge.
It is. And it highlights the fact that sometimes change can be, it can be really intense, but it's often those intense experiences that really clear the way for the most profound growth.
So how does this apply to water alchemy specifically? Are we literally using water to like wash away old patterns or something?
Sometimes, yes, but it's more than that. It's about tapping into the symbolic power of water as well. Like, think about how water can dissolve things, cleanse things, reshape things. We can apply that same energy to our inner world, using water, both literally and symbolically, to kind of wash away those old patterns, those limiting beliefs, that negativity that we might be holding on to.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So it's not just about the literal element of water, but it's also about its symbolic energy and how we can use that to transform ourselves.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. The source mentions a couple of exercises called the cleansing storm ritual and the debris release. They sound like they kind of get at this idea of using water to cleanse and let go. I'd love to hear a little bit more about those, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. The cleansing storm ritual is all about visualizing yourself in a powerful rainstorm and allowing that rain to kind of wash away anything that you want to release.
Mm.
Some people actually go out and do this in a real rainstorm, which can be really powerful.
Oh, wow. That's intense.
Yeah, but even if you're indoors, you can close your eyes and just really visualize it. Feel the rain on your skin, hear the thunder rumbling, and just imagine all of that negativity, all of that stuff that's weighing you down, just being swept away.
Okay, so kind of like a symbolic cleansing.
Exactly. And the debris release is kind of similar, but it's a little bit more focused. You take a piece of paper and you write down all of the things that you want to let go of, specific beliefs, fears, memories, anything that's feeling heavy or stagnant.
Hmm.
And you take that piece of paper and you actually submerge it in water. and you watch it dissolve.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. So you're kind of like physically releasing those things as you watch the paper break down.
Yeah, it's a really tangible way to let go.
It seems like both of these practices are really about releasing what's no longer serving us. But, rebuilding is just as important, right? The source also mentions this rebuilding foundation practice. I'm curious to hear more about that because it seems like it shifts the focus from cleansing to creation.
Yeah, it's a great point. Releasing is just the first step. With the rebuilding foundation practice, we're really focusing on water's constructive qualities, how it nourishes and sustains life. Think about how ice forms. It's constantly changing, adapting, but it always retains its essential nature, right?
Yeah.
It's a powerful metaphor for how we can rebuild our lives after those necessary upheavals, how we can use the energy of water to create a new foundation that's more aligned with who we truly are.
That's beautiful. So we're kind of like taking inspiration from water's ability to create new forms, to adapt, to rebuild. Wow. I'm really loving all of these connections. So now that we've kind of like laid the groundwork here, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about how tarot in general can be a tool for navigating change, especially when we pair it with these principles of water alchemy.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
The source material mentions that tarot can help facilitate breakthroughs and act as a catalyst for change. What do you think about that? How does that work?
Yeah, I think that's really true. Tarot cards, they offer these really rich symbols and archetypes. They can help us understand ourselves and our experiences on a deeper level. And when we start to view those cards through the lens of water alchemy, it can be even more powerful because it helps us connect with the transformative energy that's inherent in those symbols.
Okay, so it's not just about fortune telling or predicting the future. It's really about using these cards as tools for self-discovery and personal growth.
Exactly. They can help us see things from a new perspective, and to connect with our own inner wisdom and intuition.
So for someone who might be like going through a tower moment in their life, like a major upheaval or a period of transition, how could understanding these concepts actually help them?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that it can help us to reframe our perspective on change. Instead of seeing it as something to fear, we can start to see it as an opportunity for growth, for liberation, for renewal. And the practices of water alchemy can give us really tangible tools for working with those energies, for moving through those challenges in a more conscious and empowered way.
It's like instead of resisting the storm, we're learning how to like surf those waves, right?
Exactly. It's about learning to flow with the changes, to adapt, and to trust that even though things might feel chaotic in the moment, there's a deeper wisdom at play.
Speaking of trusting the process, there's this line in the source material that really struck me. It says, "Surrender to the storm and let water guide your rebirth." Like, how powerful is that?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It really encapsulates this whole idea, right?
It does. It's about letting go of control, trusting in the wisdom of the universe, and allowing ourselves to be transformed by the experience.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the symbolism of the tarot card, its connection to water alchemy, and how tarot can be a tool for personal growth. But how do we actually put all of this into practice? You mentioned a few transformative practices earlier. I'm really curious to hear more about those.
Yeah, absolutely. Those practices like the storm meditation, the lightning insight exercise, and the rebuilding ritual, they're all designed to help us work with these energies in a really practical way.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Let's dive into those. Tell me more about the storm meditation. What exactly does that involve?
Well, the storm meditation is all about connecting with the raw, cleansing power of nature.
Oh, yeah.
Close your eyes and you imagine yourself standing in the midst of a powerful storm. The wind is whipping around you, the rain is pouring down, the thunder is rumbling, and you just allow yourself to be fully present in that experience.
Wow, that sounds really intense.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly liberating. As you visualize that storm, you focus on surrendering to its power. You allow it to wash away any negativity, any fear, any limiting beliefs that you're holding on to. And you just trust that on the other side of that storm, there's a sense of peace, of clarity, of renewal.
Okay. I'm starting to get it. So it's not about trying to control the storm or avoid it altogether. It's about surrendering to it and allowing it to cleanse us, to transform us.
Exactly.
That's a really powerful image.
It is. And it can be a really effective way to shift our perspective on those challenging times in our lives.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the storm meditation. What about the lightning insight exercise? You mentioned that one earlier, and it sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, the lightning insight exercise is all about harnessing the power of sudden illumination.
Yeah.
You know, how sometimes we get these aha moments, these flashes of insight that just seem to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this exercise is about creating the conditions for those moments to occur more frequently. You sit in a quiet place, you close your eyes, and you visualize a bolt of lightning striking the water in front of you. And as you do that, you focus on a question or a problem that you've been wrestling with. And you just wait with an open mind for those insights to arise.
So we're not just passively waiting for inspiration to strike, but we're actively seeking it out. We're creating space for it to come through.
Exactly. And often those insights do come, you know. It might be a new perspective on the situation, a creative solution, or even just a deeper understanding of yourself.
Okay, so it's kind of like we're calling in that lightning bolt of inspiration.
Exactly. We're creating the conditions for it to strike.
I love that. Now let's move on to the rebuilding ritual. This one seems to shift the energy from releasing to creating, right? Exactly. The rebuilding ritual is all about nurturing new beginnings, after we've cleared away the old. It involves taking fresh, clean water and using it to nourish something that represents growth and potential. So you could water a plant, you could add fresh water to a crystal, or even just take a mindful sip of water with the intention of nourishing yourself from the inside out.
Ah, I love that.
It's a tangible way to honor that cycle of destruction and creation that the Tower card embodies.
And it's a reminder that we're not just like passive recipients of change, but we can be active participants in our own transformation.
Absolutely. And these three practices, the storm meditation, the lightning insight exercise, and the rebuilding ritual, they're just a starting point,
Yeah.
There are so many different ways to work with the energy of the Tower and the principles of water alchemy. The key is to find what resonates with you and to experiment.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to kind of like chew on.
We've talked about how the Tower can represent those aha moments, those sudden shifts in perspective, but sometimes those insights are hard to come by. So for you listening, I want you to think about a time when you felt really stuck, when you were facing a challenge that you just couldn't seem to get past.
Yeah.
What did you do to try to break through that?
And looking back, do you think there was anything you could have done differently?
Maybe there was a different perspective you could have taken or a different approach you could have tried.
And how might the principles of water alchemy and the wisdom of the Tower card have helped you to navigate that challenge in a new way?
It's something to really think about. And we'll pick up right here in part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll continue exploring this fascinating connection between the Tower card and the power of water alchemy.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So until then, keep those insights flowing.
It's really about getting in touch with that elemental energy.
Right.
Really feeling the wind and the rain on your skin.
Yeah.
Hearing the thunder crashing.
So it's almost like a visualization practice.
Exactly. And even if you can't physically be in a storm, you can still create that experience in your mind.
Okay, I get it. So as we're visualizing the storm, what should we be focusing on?
Well, the key is to really surrender to the storm's power.
Okay.
Allow it to wash away anything that's no longer serving you. Those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs, those fears, those old patterns.
It's almost like a symbolic baptism, right? Like we're being cleansed and purified by the storm.
Exactly. It's a really powerful way to release those things that are holding us back.
I love that. Okay, so that's the storm meditation. What about the lightning insight exercise? You mentioned that one earlier. That one sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, the lightning insight exercise is all about harnessing the power of sudden illumination.
Okay.
Those aha moments we were talking about.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's about creating the conditions for those moments to happen more frequently.
Okay, interesting.
So for this exercise, you sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and visualize a bolt of lightning striking the water in front of you. And as you do that, you hold a question or a problem in your mind, something you've been struggling with or that you're seeking guidance on.
And then what? We just kind of wait for the lightning to strike?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just about passively waiting. It's about actively creating space for those insights to emerge.
Okay, so there's an intentionality to it.
Definitely.
Okay, I get it. So we're calling in that lightning bolt of inspiration, so to speak.
Exactly.
I love that. Now, let's move on to the rebuilding ritual. This one seems to shift the energy from releasing to creating, right?
Exactly. Releasing is just the first step.
Right.
The rebuilding ritual is about nurturing those new beginnings.
Okay.
So for this practice, you'll want to have some fresh, clean water on hand, and then you choose something that represents growth and potential for you.
Hmm.
It could be a plant, a crystal, even just a glass of water that you're going to drink.
Hmm.
And as you water the plant, or hold the crystal, or take a sip of water, you focus on the intention of nurturing yourself, of creating a new foundation for your life.
Okay, I love that. It's a really tangible way to connect with that energy of renewal.
It is. And it's a reminder that even after the most intense upheaval, there's always the potential for new growth.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny, as we're talking about all of this, I keep thinking about times in my own life when I've gone through like major transitions, those tower moments, as we've been calling them.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, I can see how those experiences, as difficult as they were at the time, they really did lead to positive change in my life.
Oh, for sure.
But I wonder, if I had known about these principles back then, if I had understood the symbolism of the Tower card and the power of water alchemy, maybe I could have navigated those challenges with a little more grace, a little more awareness.
I think that's a common experience.
Yeah.
We often don't realize the significance of those tower moments until we're looking back at them from the other side.
Right, right.
But the good news is it's never too late to learn from those experiences and to apply these principles to our lives moving forward.
That's true, yeah. So for our listeners who are maybe going through a tower moment right now or who have gone through one in the past, I want to pose a question.
Okay.
How did you navigate that experience?
What did you learn about yourself in the process?
And how might these concepts, these tools that we've been talking about, have helped you to approach that challenge in a different way?
Yeah, it's a powerful question to reflect on.
Because ultimately, I think the Tower card and the practice of water alchemy remind us that change is inevitable.
Right.
But it's how we choose to respond to that change that really matters.
Absolutely. And these tools, these practices, they can help us to move through those changes with more grace, more intention, and more awareness.
I love that quote from earlier. Surrender to the storm and let water guide your rebirth.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. It perfectly captures the essence of what we've been talking about today.
It does. It reminds us that even in the midst of chaos and upheaval, there's always the potential for renewal, for transformation.
And that's a powerful message worth remembering. Yeah, and it's something we can come back to again and again, as we continue to grow and evolve.
Because the more we learn to embrace change, the more resilient we become.
Exactly. And the beauty of these practices, the storm meditation, the lightning insight, all of that is that you don't have to be a tarot expert or like a water alchemist or anything to benefit from them.
Right. They're really accessible to anyone who's open to exploring those energies.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're, intrigued by what we've been talking about and you want to dive in a little deeper, there are so many resources available.
Oh, yeah. Tons of books, websites, workshops.
Yeah, it's a whole world out there.
It is. And I think the key is to just be curious and to experiment, Find what works for you.
Totally. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've talked a lot about the need for things to fall apart to make way for new beginnings.
Yeah.
But how do we know what needs to crumble? Like, what are some signs that a particular structure in our lives, whether it's a belief or a habit or even a relationship, might be holding us back?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
I think it can be really tricky to discern sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest clues is that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
Like you're not making progress. You're feeling frustrated, maybe even a little hopeless.
Right, like you're banging your head against the same wall over and over again.
Exactly. Or maybe you're feeling drained, depleted. Like the particular situation or relationship is just sucking the life out of you.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
And those can all be signs that something needs to shift.
Right.
That maybe it's time to let go of that old structure, to create space for something new to emerge.
It's like that feeling of being cramped in a space that's too small for you. You need more room to grow, but you're kind of hesitant to let go of the familiar.
And that's where the wisdom of the Tower card comes in.
Yeah.
It reminds us that those moments of upheaval, as challenging as they can be, are also opportunities for profound transformation.
Right. So as we close out this episode, I want to invite you, dear listener, to embrace the power of the tower.
Yeah.
Don't fear the storms of life, but see them as catalysts for growth and renewal.
Because on the other side of that storm, there's a new beginning waiting for you.
Exactly. And remember, the tower's message is not one of destruction, but of liberation.
Of breaking free from those limitations that are holding you back.
And of stepping into a more authentic, a more empowered version of yourself.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Tower card and water alchemy.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and some practical tools to help you navigate your own journey of transformation.
And remember, change is inevitable.
Yeah.
But growth is a choice.
So choose to grow.
Choose to evolve.
And choose to embrace the power of the tower.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.